think this is the most beautiful place on Earth. I am so excited to be back for a third season with the Loons. And this season, for the first time, I'll be updating us every few weeks through some vlogs. I hope you enjoy.
This is the lake where I do an annual photography project documenting loon families. It is also the space where I reflect on my life. In 2021, I got a call while on the lake that I was losing my mother. In 2022, I found healing out here and made a film. Last year, my loons had a tough season with flooding and intruder loons. What will this year have in store? In this episode, I head out to find out if my 2 pairs of loons have returned and if they will nest.
Okay, well, I am finally back out with the Loons. It is the end of April, and this is my first time out this year looking for the Loons, and it's the earliest I've ever been looking for the Loons. I certainly hope this is going to be a better season than last at this loon pond, which is the loon pond. Our 2 pairs here, our 2 pairs of loons, they had a rough year last year. One of them had their nest flood in the epic rains, and the other one, well, their chick was Picky, and I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it yet, but Picky had a rough season. So come along, let's see if I can find the loons this year, and let's hope that they have a better season. Okay, well, I'm really happy. I found the loons, and I found them really fast. Within about maybe 30 minutes, I found them right at the spot where they had nested last year, the spot of Picky's parents. So I'm assuming it's the same parent loons as it has been for the past few years. So I'm very excited for this year, and I hope this is a great start. So I was quite happy. The loons, I think, might have recognized me. I recognize one of the ones with the green band. It was one of Picky's parents, and they actually swam really calmly up to me. Not too close, but maybe within 30 feet. And it was like they recognized me, and then they just kept swimming, and they went farther. I didn't move. And again, to stress the loon ethics, I don't approach the loons closer than the kind of minimum, maybe 150 feet at the very closest, but sometimes even farther away. And do keep in mind, I am using an 800 millimeter equivalent lens. So here's a sense of what it looks like to the normal eye. And then here's what it looks like at 800 millimeters. And sometimes I'm cropping in farther than that 800 millimeters.
Having achieved my first goal of finding Picky's parents, it was a good time to take a break before the golden hour of sunset photography began. I love sitting in silence on these islands. You can really think.
Well, being back here, I feel absolutely blessed and privileged. Makes me wonder, what do you have that's right in front of you that's a tremendous miracle and blessing? What is it in your life that maybe you don't see, that if you realized it, it's an absolute miracle and joy that you have it? Now that I'm past 40 and have lived quite a bit and experienced things and experienced loss, I realize it can all change. Everything in your life can change. So I'm really focusing on what I have that is just beautiful. I mean, look at this. How lucky am I to get to come out here and be with the loons? How lucky am I to live in a state and in a place where this is relatively in my backyard? How lucky am I to have my family, my wife and my daughters? How lucky am I to have the time that I've had with them and that I hopefully will have with them? Being past 40 and having my oldest child in a few years, she'll be in college. Things will change, you know? I gotta really just savor every moment and every blessing. Thank God for the blessings that I do have.
I spent some more time with Picky's parents as the spring hatch of insects swirled around them. But I had to leave them, as I had one more goal: to find the other pair of loons.
Well, I'm happy to report that I found the second pair as well in the historic nesting area. So looks like we're back to full strength here at the loon pond, and I certainly hope these guys have a much more successful year, and I'll be checking in the future. It is mid-June, and I am back out on the loon ponds. I had meant to be out a lot more in May, but I re-aggravated an old neck injury that causes a migraine and shooting pain through my arms, so I couldn't paddle for like 3 weeks, and I decided to rest it so I would get the rest of the season in. So anyway, today's mission is to find out whether or not the loons at the loon ponds have nested. It's being mid-June, they should have nested by now, so come on, let's go find out if they've done that. So that did not take long. It was a success. I found this nest site where Picky's parents had nested last year, and so I'm hoping it means it's at least one of the parents that has returned. He or she's right on the nest. They do switch off, so I wouldn't know if it was the male or the female. I only spent a few, like probably a minute, maybe 2, in the vicinity, just getting these couple quick shots of the nest site and a couple video clips, but otherwise I really want to stress it may be very tempting as an observer or as a photographer to get a lot of shots on the nest, but honestly it's not worth it. The stress you would put the loon under, possibly leading it to abandon the nest, or just generally stressing it, it's not worth it. And as you saw if you watched the season 2 of A Season with the Loons, they're under a lot of stress. Not all the nests make it. So keep those tips in mind. The loons prefer to nest on islands that are not connected to the mainland. This way they can avoid predators such as raccoons or coyotes or fox.
Loons need a nest site with a steep rather than a gradual slope, so that this poor walker can quickly dive back into the water to avoid predators. They nest on the lee side of the island to avoid the wind and waves so that the nest site doesn't get flooded.
Now that I found Picky's parents, I'm going to go paddle across the pond to where the other nest was last year. That was one that failed in the massive flooding, but hopefully they're going to do better this year. There is a crazy amount of pollen in the air. It's like clouds of pollen, and you can see it settling on the lake right now. The water is high again this year. We did have a lot of rain and moisture throughout the winter, and the levels are still high, so I'm wondering if this second pair couldn't even find the place to nest, because the place to nest might be underwater. For example, like look at this little area here. That typically isn't underwater, but it is. You can see more areas that would be dry land normally, but it's up above into the trunks. So I'm not sure what that means for the other pair nesting. I don't know if they've nested this year. There was a lot of storm damage this March and April. A lot of trees got uprooted and toppled over, as you can see. Well, it looks like we got some weather moving in. This is absolutely crazy right now. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's this green haze everywhere. And the green haze is pollen being blown around as the storm moves in.
The storm fizzled quickly, ending in a rainbow and golden light. I never found a second nest, and later learned that there was just one nest this year. I will be back for chick season, and will document Picky's parents' journey to raise another chick, hopefully successfully this year. Can they do it? Tune in again to the next episode to find out.